So recently, Final Fantasy XIV wrapped up a not-so-little event called the Ishgardian Restoration. In this event, each server rebuilt a part of Ishgard known as the Firmament through an absolutely ludicrous amount of crafting and gathering. Also that in 6.1 we will finally get the area's player housing. Though, of course, that was unknown to us during the weeks the NA and EU data centers slogged away at it. But as for the JP data centers, well, it should just come as a surprise to no one that some of them were done in less than a week. By the time I was finally at a point where I had hours upon hours to waste on restoring Ishgard, the final stage of the restoration was soon to be added with 5.41. Knowing that there were great rewards to be had, I prepared myself for the event so I could get my mounts and glamour as soon as possible, and also make myself into one of Eorzea's richest Elezen while I was at it. But there was one little problem, and it was a major one. You see, I hadn't bothered to do as much as a Google search to figure out how the restoration worked, and because of that, I ended up unknowingly walking myself into the Dragon's Den on this one. Or rather, the Dragon's Housing District in this case. Could I have walked out? Yes, but once I had my mind set on getting the mounts, I was going to get it, damn it. This is the story of how I lost everything in the Ishgardian Restoration. My sanity, my gil, 50 hours of my time, hell, I think I remember promising my soul to the Kupo Ticket Girl in exchange for better RNG. But enough of that. Let's take a look back at it to an ancient time almost lost to myth. January of 2021. Final Fantasy XIV patch 5.41, which was to bring the final stage of the restoration, was set to come out on January 12th. And after learning about the rewards that would be up for grabs and the amount of money some of my FC's mates had made in the previous stages of the restoration, well, I was all on board to dedicate myself to the event when it came out next. While I peppered these same FC mates with questions about how they made money and what rewards would be able to be collected, well, I failed to ask any questions about how the Ishgardian Restoration actually worked. All I knew was that it was a massive crafting and gathering event where you could earn script for your contribution to the restoration. So, I assumed that I could easily get all of the script I could ever want by simply mining up a storm and not having to do anything else, or put in any kind of extra effort, really. When patch day finally came, I rushed to Ishgard and entered the Diadem to begin gathering as many materials as I could for about 2 hours or so before leaving the Diadem upon my inventory getting full. I had mined all types of level 80 stuff as I assumed they would have the highest unit to script ratio, though I did gather other leveled items to see the difference. When I went to the resource inspector to have him inspect everything, I found myself with all of the items I had given to him back in my inventory but as an approved variant, and I had received 17 script total. At first, I was very confused, as I thought all I had to do was turn in all the material for script, but instead had just been given back a variation of that item and a minuscule amount of script as a reward. That's when I finally realized what the NPC's title actually was. Resource Inspector. Now, for some, they would have figured out that gathering isn't how you do the event here. But in my head, I went, guess I have to find the resource collector. Anyway, so I began running around the firmament, clicking on every NPC and interactable object I could find, but none of them served the purpose I thought they should. It was at that moment I decided to look up how the restoration worked, and it was a truth I had never accounted for, honestly. To get those mounts that I so desired, I had to become one of the people I had naively made fun of in the past. I had to become what I perceived to be a nightmare of intricacies and numbers. I had to become a crafter. But Loki, if you hate crafting so much, why don't you just give up on the mount and go do something else, you ask? Well, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I wanted the mounts. So I switched into my level 20 armor I had tried out back when I was still in the free trial, only to find out that, like an idiot, I had already gotten rid of the gear I had bought in the past, so I had to rebuy the gear, which was the first time of many during the restoration that I drained part of my gil into something that would soon become obsolete. After rebuying the gear I needed at that moment, I quickly went to the collectible appraiser and found out that I needed Skybuilder's iron ore from the Diadem and normal iron ore from the rest of the overworld. So I spent the next couple of hours in the Diadem mining all the Skybuilder's iron ore I could possibly want. Luckily, the tedium of the Diadem was not quite enough to drive me insane, as the entirety of my ill-advised journey through the restoration was streamed live on my Twitch channel, which, if you're enjoying the video, you should definitely go follow. Anyway, during this time in the Diadem is when I started to understand not only what it felt like to go slowly insane, but also the concept of the Diadem horny, as other players have called it. And oh boy, people said some weird shit in Shout Chat. Luckily, I recorded the chat log as I mined and planned to make a video compiling all of these strange messages, so look forward to that shit show that will be that video. But when I was finally done gathering all of the ore I could possibly want, I left the diadem, popped an EXP manual, and got to work crafting more iron plates than the British Army of old would know what to do with. But that's no big deal, Loki. Just use a crafting macro, you say. I didn't know you could use a macro for crafting then, so every single one was done without any sort of help. On top of that, I am terrible at crafting rotations. Once I had a sufficient amount of these crafted, I turned them all in for scrip and EXP. Right away, I realized just how much more effective crafting was for scrip gathering. At this point, I had a few hundred scrip, though for everything I wanted, I would need about 40,000. But here's where the Kupo tickets came in, which would represent my greatest frustrations and my greatest joys during this terrible slog to scrip heaven. Every time I would get a Kupo ticket, I would immediately use them and would be so excited at the chance of getting something good, only to 99% of the time get useless crap like magic prisms. I don't even want to think about the amount of carbuncle garbage I kept getting and how many times I was so close to getting the big ticket items, but alas. But here's where the cycle started to repeat itself over and over again without cease. I would do a bunch of leveling up, buy new gear, collect all the materials I needed for the new craft, and then craft a ton of it for scrip. It didn't help that since it was the restoration, everyone was charging through the teeth for gear on the market board, and my 4 million gil had quickly shrunk to almost nothing. Even by the time I finally got armor to level 80, I still had some money left, and I knew that in the long run, I would be best to get the best crafting gear I could get at that time. So with barely 2 million gil left to my name, and despite the fact that prices for the materials were through the roof at that time, I bought what was needed to create the aesthetes crafting set. A whole set of high quality aesthetes cost around 3 million at the time on the market board. The only way to get this gear within the gil I had was to just have it crafted myself. So I gathered what I could, exchanged tomestones for mats, and bought the rest as cheap as I could get until I had everything I needed. Luckily, one of my FC mates was willing to craft the set for me, and by the next day, I had gone from crappy level 70 gear to the best set in the game. Of course, I couldn't afford to pentameld it, and to this day, it barely has any melds at all on it. When all was said and done, I had spent about 1.5 million gil on materials for the set, so I barely had anything left. And at this point, I was starting to panic. I had no money left to buy the other mats I needed for the extra level 80 materials I would need, so in a desperate attempt to make back all of the money I'd lost, I finally dipped into the Zone Your Skin maps that I had been stockpiling for about a month at that point. These are an awful way to make money back. All of the drops from 20-something maps sold from a measly 4 million gil thanks to my absolute garbage luck in this game. I swear, I can't catch a fucking break. But that 4 million plus what I had left was luckily enough to buy all of the materials I would need to craft the rest of the collectibles I would need to finally hit the amount of scrip I needed for the mounts, and set myself free from the hell that was the firmament. The level 80 item that I crafted as an armor was the Skybuilder's lamppost, of which I probably made 400 to 500 of. So if you go into the Excalibur firmament and see a lamppost, chances are I crafted it. That's what I would say, but all of the crafted items disappear into the void. Damn, now I'm just picturing hundreds of lampposts polluting the bottom of the Holy Sea, and it's honestly kind of funny. Luckily, near the end of the giant lamppost crafting spree, I learned about crafting macros, and after making my own, which is no doubt the very definition of suboptimal, the crafting side of the restoration had finally become as mindless as the gathering side. That is, until I got a random lag spike that ruined the craft. But hey, at least Lady Luck blessed me at one point and bestowed upon me a single casual attire coffer. And since after buying all the materials I needed I was once again hurting for gil, I quickly tried to sell it and avoid paying market board taxes. Okay, so the casual tire coffers, actually this was a bad place to go first. The casual tire coffers are worth 2.2 million right now, like on market board. However, even with the reduced tax rate of Ishgard right now, I still don't want to pay taxes on it. If I can avoid paying taxes, I am going to avoid paying taxes. So the idea is to go back to the firmament and in shout chat put that I'm selling it for below market board price. I will sell it to them for 2.1 million. Seems like a good idea, because it is. Then I can keep building my fortune until 6.0, in which case I'm buying a house before anything else. I can trade this, right? Yeah, it's tradable. Now we wait. There's not many people here anymore. This might have been a bad idea. I think this was a bad idea. 175. I'll ignore that. I don't think there's any buyers here. No. I don't think there is. Well, I'm gonna just leave then. It's like still 1.9 mil, but it's not 2 mil. I want the 2 mil. Am I willing to go to Limsa though? Yes. For 2 mil, I am willing to go to Limsa. Okay, let's see what kind of degeneracy is here today. So it's good, it's awful. Haha, rocking out to this Decemberus. Oh boy. Yep, it's Limsa degeneracy, alright, I think. I'm not sure, I don't know what the hell they're talking about, but it probably is. I will wait for one scam message to go by before putting in my own less scammy message. Yoink. Selling. Casual attire coffer below market board price. I don't like this. I don't think this is working. No, this isn't working. Nope. I came to Limsa for nothing. My frames have been sacrificed for absolutely nothing. It's despicable. I highly doubt anyone even noticed the message, but I was embarrassed to be putting that kind of garbage into chat. Since no one bought it through chat, I ended up selling it on the market board at the week high and made about 2 million gil off of it. So not much in the grand scheme of things, but the first step to getting back to my previous financial position. That's great and all, but did you get the mounts, you ask? Foolish questions. Of course I got the mounts, and oh boy, they made all of this suffering worth it. Well, that's going to be the end of the video. I know that this one has had a bit of a different format than normal, and that's because if I went for simply editing down the 30 hours of crafting and gathering footage I had, this video would be about as entertaining as watching paint dry. No offense to drying paint. Plus, with the success of my How My Static Died video, I thought I'd lean into that kind of storytelling here. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. As always, my name is Lokidum, and thanks for your time. But there is one more thing. You see, after I got the last of the mounts, I finally participated in one of the firmament fates to see if I had missed out on a great way to collect script. So, here's how that went. What am I supposed to do? This might actually be the dumbest fate ever. Why is the theme so kick-ass for this bullshit? Yeah, let me sweep. I actually am sweeping. Why are we in a party for this? I don't think a party was necessary for this. I left the dungeon for this. Yeah, that's about right. No speak, just sweep. But what are you supposed to do when you're actually sweeping? It's a wipe? Yeah, that sounds about right. Imric's like seeing us bend over. Fucking hell. Sweep the streets, sweep till you bleed. Just release and run back if you die. I did 15. Is that enough? No. I can't feel my arms, sir. Sweep the Lalafell into the hole. Yes, I do agree with this. I turned in the last item for this. I'm actually proud of myself. I am the reason all these people are here, and I'm also the reason for my own suffering. At least I think I turned in the last one. I mean, the minute I turned one, it went, oh, yep, we're done. It was great. Like Deborah and Chris. And 500 script. 500 script. If this is actually only 500 script. 500 script. Yeah, I really didn't miss out on much there.